continue to follow news of the massive tornado that's caused massive destruction near Oklahoma City. The town of Moore, Oklahoma, population 55,000, appears to have been the hardest hit. Television footage shows huge swaths of the city flattened. Also trying to confirm reports that 2 elementary schools were in the storm's path. There is no word yet on casualties. We'll bring you more information as it comes in.
The conflict in Syria will forever alter the lives of an entire generation of children. They'll carry memories of violence and displacement that take a heavy toll on their psychological health. NPR's Rima Marouche has this story from Lebanon by a group of volunteers who are trying to help.
In the narrow streets of the notorious Sabra refugee camp, not far from the place where hundreds of Palestinians were slaughtered 3 decades ago, there is a small kindergarten. It's a gloomy place without windows or light, but this is what's available for 70 Syrian children from cities like Aleppo, Homs, and Damascus. It's a place where refugees help refugees. The school was set up by Palestinian residents of the camp with the help of Syrian volunteers. Many of these children have been traumatized by the war across the border. 7-year-old Badr saw his sister killed in front of his eyes. That was in Aleppo before his family fled to Lebanon. Sana, one of the volunteers working with these Syrian children, says the impact on Badr was profound.
He beats everybody, his mother, his father, he hates everybody, he's crying all the time, he doesn't go to school, he refuses to go to school, and the school refused him.
To help children like Badr and others deal with their trauma, a team of 4 young volunteers with background in art come once a week to lead projects in theater, music, and drawing.
All of us know the importance of art and expression by art tools, but we didn't realize that there are rules for this kind of work. So we had to understand really what is psychosocial activities.
Sana manages the program here, which includes a drawing class where many of the children express themselves through a single image.
These very traumatized kids used to say, these are the monster. The monster is killing and destroying everything. And we think that we should be like him, to push him back. These kids, oppositely to other kids, they expressed their trauma very early because they are that traumatized that they cannot hide it.
Through theater classes, the volunteers try to teach children how to listen to one another and how to be more confident and expressive. One exercise puts children in a circle where they take turns introducing themselves to each other. Yusuf leads the theater class. He says even getting these children to say their names can be a challenge. At first, he says many would neither listen nor talk.
We have 20 to 25 children in the class. More than half did not want to talk. I would talk to them, but they wouldn't answer.
One of the exercises in the theater class is about professions. The instructor would ask, what does a doctor do? Lawyer, a teacher. Yusuf recalls asking the children about the job of a pilot.
Many children started shouting, he drops bombs, he does bang bang. I asked them, doesn't the pilot transport passengers? They went silent for a moment and then they started laughing and said, yeah, that too.
Despite their pain and suffering, Sana believes there is hope for these children.
The trauma is there, we are not denying. The tragedy is there, we should remember, but we should not live with the tragedy. When the war and this regime will pass away, we will rebuild our life.
For the moment, she says, the challenge is simply to find financial support for programs like the kindergarten in the Sabra refugee camp. For NPR News, I'm Rima Marouche in Beirut.
You're listening to All Things Considered on WFPL, Louisville's NPR news station. And good evening, I'm Susan Sweeney Crum. Several Kentucky schools and districts have seen success in changing their approach to disciplining students. These schools have adopted the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, or PBIS system, for handling bad behavior. One of the schools following PBIS is Bullitt Lick Middle School, which has decreased suspensions by nearly 70% since last year. As WFPL's Devin Katayama reports, Principal Robert Falk attributes the drop to PBIS, and he's not the only one.
7th grader Charlie Cross sometimes gets frustrated with learning.
Well, if I don't know what to do, I raise my hand and then they'll go to other kids and then I don't get tired, so I'll put it down and I just lay my head down on the desk.
Cross has been sent to the principal's office for things like this before. He's even been sent to the district's alternative school, and he's not alone. There are plenty of students like Cross who rack up referrals or are kicked out of class, and research shows out-of-school punishments don't help students succeed. When Principal Falk came to Bullitt Lick Middle School 2 years ago, he sat down with staff and looked at each suspension file to determine how the school could improve its results. As part of the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports system, reviewing data, targeting specific problems, and setting clear expectations for students, Falk points to signs that dress the school halls.
Look right behind me. Zero silence, whisper, quiet discussion, presentation. We do that in every classroom so that it's common throughout the building. So if I say to a group of kids, we're on voice level 0 guys, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's common throughout the building.
Falk says PBIS changes the culture of school discipline by promoting alternative responses to behavioral issues, like what to do when a student throws food during lunch.
Inappropriate consequences. Sit down, discuss why you threw the food, why that's not appropriate to do that there, how that infringes on other kids in the cafeteria, how it hurts our image as a school, how it hurts your image as a student. And then an appropriate consequence of that would be, okay, you may need to sit at this table in the lunchroom, with me and eat lunch as opposed to your friends. You may lose a day of social time during lunch because you decided to throw food.
And it's worked in Bullitt Lick Middle School. Referrals have been cut in half, and in-school suspensions are down by 37%. And it's not just here. Over 100 Kentucky schools that implemented PBIS and provided 3 years of data saw suspensions drop 20%, around 5 times the decrease seen statewide using the old methods of discipline. But Falk says getting teachers and schools to buy in is difficult. And teacher Melissa Hill agrees when PBIS was previously introduced in Bullitt Lick Middle, it just didn't stick.
It was a difficult year when we didn't have a lot of buy-in from our faculty or our students, which you have to have that buy-in for it to be legitimate. We had a turnover the next year of faculty, so we really had to start all over again, and that hurt us, and I don't think we had the buy-in then.
And eventually,
It just becomes habit.
Hill says teachers have improved their ability to deal with behavioral problems in the classroom and don't automatically send students to the principal's office.
We give them a toolbox to use. You can conference with a child, you can move the child in the classroom, you can give them a lunch detention, you can cross-team them, which means that I would send them to another teacher for that class period.
Falk says he takes the first few days of school to go over expectations with students, and then on long vacation breaks, does it again.
For an educator, we had to get past the idea, but we're going to burn instructional time to do that? But what about the state assessment at the end of the year? I don't care about that. I want kids to learn.
Kentucky's Center for Instructional Discipline runs the PBIS network in the state. Its staff works with schools who request its help, but officials say it requires a commitment to the program. Over 30 school districts have made that commitment, and the results in many schools have been positive. Devin Katayama, WFPL News.
You can join us tomorrow afternoon at 1 when we'll